This is the Business Over Beer podcast, brought to you by Passages to Success, the best networking and masterminding group in Clark County, Washington. On our show today, our guest is the founder and Chief Inspirational Officer at Pacific Perks, Natalie Fairchild. And these two guys, you know them, they're the ones that won't get out of your business, and they can't say no to another beer or two. Our hosts, Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler.
Woohoo! Wow. 3 years and he actually found his voice.
That's right. That's not too bad.
My goodness.
Man, that's way better than you counting in and.
Wow.
We don't have to do a pre-recorded one now. That'll help me on post, right?
Thanks, Canope. Good job. Well, hey,
man.
This is awesome. We're back.
Man, it's been a while. We haven't recorded in a while, so we're retooling a little bit, huh?
Yeah. It's been a minute, like the kids say.
That's right. But
Yeah.
we're here. We got a great episode tonight.
Yeah. Who do we have?
Well, I got some other people to thank
All right,
first.
thank people.
We're so excited to have Twin Star Credit Union as our sponsor for tonight's member event and this podcast episode. In addition to their local branches that serve the Vancouver community, Twin Star also has a long history of giving back to all of the communities they serve, and everything they do is driven by their brand promise, which is realizing financial dreams together. We appreciate everything they're doing in our community, and we really appreciate their support of Passages to Success. We also want to thank Chuck's Produce, especially Sunny at Chuck's. We've had them cater our last few events. They were nice enough to provide food for us tonight.
It was awesome.
And it's always been just really delicious, top-notch. So for your next event, go check out Chuck's. I want to thank Lewitt as well. Lewitt provided some of the beer for us tonight. And finally, special thanks to Michael Hearn and the IVT Company right here in downtown Vancouver for letting us take over their space. This is a killer spot for your next coffee meeting, for lunch. It's really fantastic. So come check them out right here in downtown Vancouver as well.
The Couve.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you did some homework, I heard.
I did do some homework.
This is how I know we're retooling, because you actually did some prep work.
I did.
I mean, normally you're just totally off the cuff, so this is good.
Well, you know, I haven't done homework probably since. What year is it? When did I graduate high school? When did I graduate middle school? Thank you.
we gotta.
Can I tell a quick story?
How old do you think he is? 19?
No. Speaking of 19, check this out. True story. I was buying beer. I was getting into a bar and they carded me. I swear to you. And I awesome, man, thanks. And I put it out there. He goes, "Oh, you're good." I go, well, you didn't even look at my ID. He goes, "Oh no, I saw the 19. I know you're old enough." I'm like, 19? I go, "Yeah, because everybody else." 2000 what? 2001?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, that was my I'm getting old story. Mm-hmm. Back to the homework.
You are getting old. So
I am. So yeah, we are, to prepare for our guests to talk about, hiring and employees and how difficult it is. I did some homework.
Right.
And I downloaded, or I looked up the top from the BMA group. I don't know who they are, but I found it. It's a great blog. The top hiring challenges for 2022. Why it's so hard to fill jobs right now. And I'm not going to read them all, but the one I thought it was really interesting because we've had conversations is the Great Resignation.
Yeah. What's that all about?
Where people just are done with the 9 to 5 and they're like, I'm never going back to work. And you heard recently though that
yeah, is the Great Resignation even real? Is that an actual thing? What I think is interesting, and I can't wait to kind of get into some of this, is I think it's interesting that the employees, the candidates, are shouldering the blame without companies actually looking inward at their culture and what they're offering and what that's all about.
Yeah.
And I think that might be really what's at the crux of this issue.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some of our folks have opinions on that. And you know who actually has a really good opinion on that?
Canope.
No. Try again. Our guest.
I'm hoping our guest.
Our guest. That's right. So I want to welcome Natalie Fairchild, the founder and Chief Inspirational Officer at Pacific Perks. Pacific Perks is a flat-rate mobile cafe serving beverages, sweet treats, and other made-to-order foods. You can find them at events all over Southwest Washington, all of PDX Metro, the Willamette Valley, and even down into Bend.
Yes.
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 So, welcome to the show,
you.
Natalie.
So happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
So, what is a Chief Inspirational Officer?
Well, I'm not real good with titles. I don't love them. And that came to me when I was Googling, like, fun titles that I can get behind. And that's what I am. I love to inspire people, mentor them, coach them, help them see their potential. And I feel like as an owner of a company, that's what I do, is try and inspire everybody to elevate and be their best, to create an experience for our customers. And so it just fit perfectly.
That's
and
fantastic.
I love it.
That's great. And you've been in business 14 years
15.
now? 15 years.
15 years, wow.
Yeah, just celebrated 15 years. Hard. It's crazy.
That's incredible. Well, when we were looking for a guest for this podcast or for this event, because the third quarter of the calendar, we talk about culture. And I came across Natalie's profile on LinkedIn, and it really was the Chief Inspirational Officer that caught my eye. And I'm like, I bet this is somebody who knows a thing or two about culture.
I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get into more of that. So
Perfect.
That's awesome. So what do you think? What do you think about the Great Resignation? Is that a thing?
Yep, I think it's been building since before COVID.
Ah.
People are realizing what they want matters instead of what they have to do or what they think they have to do. And self-care is becoming a huge thing. And then I think COVID happened, and it really, have you ever said to yourself, like, I just wish I could have a week? Like, if the world would stop for a week. Well, it did.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
That's it.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to normal.
2
It'll be
weeks.
fine.
Be careful what you wish for, right? And we all got a chance to see what life was like off the hamster wheel. And some of us decided, I'm never going back there. Something's got to happen. And we just did a great HR coffee talk about this. And where are those workers? Do they
Right.
not want to work? And one perspective is that it's the Great Resignation. It's gig economy. They'd rather DoorDash or Uber and maybe on the side doing their passion. They want flexibility. They just do not want to go back to the corporate world, 9 to 5, 8 to 5. And yeah, they're doing something different. They're either starting businesses, doing the gig economy, and still trying to figure out what they want.
Yeah.
And living with less.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think the gig economy is a really interesting perspective because that's been building. That's been a thing for the last however many years, right? So I think it's interesting that small business owners aren't fully taking advantage of the gig economy. How can small business owners actually do that? Is there a way for them to take advantage of the gig economy, even if they're not in a typical gig type business?
Yeah, you have to create flexibility in your workforce, in your company, in your culture. If you want to continue to attract people to your company, you have to. How many companies said no, you can't work from home before COVID?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Just there's so many parents that just so wanted to work from home 2 or 3 days a week. It would make their life so much better. And the answer a lot of times was no. And then COVID hit, and it was like, you have to go home and work. And so that's really taught us that things can be done differently than we have normally thought.
Yeah.
And flexibility is huge. It's either schedules, we need to start doing 4/10s or 4 days a week, or job sharing where you have a job buddy and you work 4 days a week and that person covers anything that comes in that's drastic on that 5th day, and then you do the same for that person. There's lots of creative things, and we've got to start thinking outside of the box.
So the more conversations I have with folks, particularly around hiring, and I ask them who are having trouble, and it seems that so many small business owners, even like early stage small business owners, they're still trying to go like the traditional route of hiring. Oh, well, I posted it on Indeed. and I'm not getting the results I
And
want.
what did you post on Indeed? That's huge.
And what did you post? We even heard this
We
week.
had, swear to you, Craigslist.
I was like, what year is it?
Oh, God.
You're still recruiting
Swear
on,
to you.
on
You might not
Craigslist.
get the candidate you want.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a better chance of getting it on a thrifty nickel,
Yeah.
okay, than
Right.
freaking Craigslist.
Right.
So talk a little more about that creativity, because as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, we're in this because we are creative problem solvers. Why is this particular thing so
Yeah.
hard for people to
Yeah.
kind of create those ideas? Because what I hear is, that'll never work for my business. My business is too difficult. I
Yeah.
can't train, or that
Right.
kind of thing. I don't know if
Right.
it's an ego thing that's getting in the way of the creativity. What's your take on that?
Well, I think as a small business owner, we are the creatives, but there's so many hats that you wear as a small business owner. Sometimes it's hard to figure that out yourself and just you. I mean, it takes outside perspective. It takes being part of things like this to get different ideas. And yeah, we really have to pull in resources and people that have different perspectives and may know more than we do, and be open to that first, and then be willing to change and pivot. We did learn about pivoting in 2020.
that was
So-
definitely the word. Yeah.
That was the word.
Take that and pivot. So job descriptions, people are still putting the job description that you have in your binder or your drive, and they're just dumping it into an Indeed ad.
no, still binders. There's
Okay.
still plenty of binders out there.
Yeah. So, and
Who has binders? See?
I have a trapper keeper.
Speaking of graduating from middle school.
Oh yeah, 19. 19.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
I'm zoning in on the exact year. I should have it by the end of this.
It was Transformers.
So people are taking those job descriptions and just putting it in here, and this education is required, and this, is it really required?
Right.
Looking at it more like, hey, we will train you, and kind of the soft skills, and you have to sell your company and the position more than you're saying. You don't even talk to us if you don't have this. People's eyes glaze over when they read those long descriptions. Make them fun, have easy, casual language, bullet point, don't make it too lengthy, and don't use your job description.
Yeah.
On this blog too that I read, it has robots, like the robots who pre-screen, and all the people that are thrown to the side because of what you just said, like the words don't match or whatever. Like to me, that is so freaking close-minded.
Exact. Do you know the one that affects our age?
No,
I just heard.
no.
How many spaces are supposed to be after a period?
2.
No, it's one.
Right.
Now it's
See?
Is it?
Are you 50?
I'm 40. Huh? 19.
44. Okay, so up until 6 months ago, it's 2 spaces
Right.
after the period.
Right.
Well, no, it's not.
No, for years it's been one space.
It's just 1 space. But guess what? They scan the resumes, and if they see 2 spaces, they know how old you are.
What?
Wow.
What?
That's insane.
I called my college daughter and was like, Maddie, how many spaces, after a period? 1. Mads,
What?
I've been doing it wrong. Why didn't you tell me?
And I even know it's wrong, but I can't.
You can't. Yeah.
After
Yeah.
30 years of typing.
And it's a typewriter
40
thing,
years
isn't
of
it?
typing. 30 years.
It's
of
a
typing.
typewriter thing.
35 years of typing. I don't know. 46, by the way.
Yeah.
46.
So who did
Close.
know?
You're close.
46. Okay.
46.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm older than him, so.
Yeah. I
But
just found it
by a
out.
skosh.
Just found it out.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to be selling more to the candidates and really looking at our culture and our benefits. And it's not, paid medical and 401k that everyone's looking for.
Yeah. What I also think is important, particularly for small business owners, is I come from a corporate background, and now I'm a small business owner. But working in those two environments are completely different. And I think for somebody like
Yeah.
me who has come from a corporate background, and I've done plenty of hiring in my life, so I have an idea of what that framework looks like, of kind of what that process is to go through. But the story that I need to tell as a small business owner and what that experience is going to be like to work for a early stage or a startup business is completely different than if you're hiring for a corporation.
Yeah, and the transparency. So being real, talking about really what it's like.
Yeah.
People appreciate that. And they really want to get behind something that has purpose. So what is the purpose in your company? Really making sure that you're talking about that, because that's so important.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the gig economy, and before COVID, when Uber first started, every time I take an Uber, I'd always ask the driver, like, so how did you get into Uber? Everyone left the corporate world to drive, like, or I got laid off and I'm not going back, or I left and I'm not going back, and I do this and I sing in the bar, 3 nights a week or whatever. It's so interesting.
So, will you agree with my original thesis?
Just kidding.
All right. Next question.
Just kidding. Sorry, you didn't know what you were going to get with me, did you?
Oh, I knew.
Oh, okay.
I knew. Oh, I knew. You're one of us.
Okay,
for sure.
good.
But would you agree with my original thesis that employees and candidates are shouldering the blame for this? I mean, what I think is happening, we're having a societal shift.
It is a shift.
We're having a cultural shift in the world, and I think companies are still saying, well, this isn't the world I want to live in, but it's the world that's being created. So what's the role of the company? What's the responsibility of the company to look inside themselves, accept what's happening, and then do that pivot?
Yeah, there's some old school mentality that has to change. I was talking to some HR people yesterday, and they're like, this is all great, but my leader is old school, and he will say no to this stuff. And they will suffer in recruiting and attracting that talent. So you really have to be open to change and looking at things different. All the people that said no to working at home, most of those people have seen the progress with that it actually can be successful, and continuing that, not mandating. A hybrid work environment is working, but it's hard for people if they have to come back to the office full time.
Yeah.
You talked about getting your message out there if you're a business trying to, hire somebody. Isn't that like kind of part of why you're doing what you're doing and knowing your story? We talk about knowing your story as a business, you have to know who you are and telling your story. And I think a lot of these, especially the bigger businesses, the corporates, they're stuck, like you said, in the old school of what we used to be, not looking forward and telling people why we need you on so we can be X. So we know we're here,
absolutely.
accept where you are and say, we can only do that if you're a part of it.
And people want the purpose.
That's
and
what
that
I'm
gives them the
exactly.
purpose. And also training, it's very attractive to be like, we will train you, and here is the steps you can take and to get from A to Z. And they're like, okay, I can see movement. Like, I'm not going to just be stuck here, asking my manager every 3 months for movement. There's actually a plan.
Yeah.
And why aren't we open to training more people, and instead of expecting them to have everything right up front and a 4-year degree and yada yada.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's going to be going out the window. You have to have the basics. Show up on time, be willing, be kind, ask questions, do your best, and that's all we need.
That's it.
A good friend of mine once told me that we try to hire the hit the ground running candidate. and that you should never do that. That doesn't work. And I think that's what you're getting at. Is that we have this expectation we want it just to hit the ground running, and we don't take the onus or the responsibility ourselves to because there's always going to be that training period. Even somebody who's got the experience, there's
Right.
still that training period.
Yeah, and
bringing
there,
somebody on.
Yeah, and there are lots of specific positions where you're looking for years of experience.
Of course.
Of course, but absolutely, and there just needs to be more grace. And I think the shift is happening. And I don't know if you notice it if you're in a Zoom and your puppy barks in the background right now, like I have, and you just don't feel bad about it anymore because everyone's like, no worries. There is more of a grace that's happening and a flexibility. And that's one of the number one benefits that employees want to see is flexibility and wellness.
What advice would you give for an early stage business owner who's never hired before, as far as not waiting too long to hire? I was having a conversation earlier before we got here with somebody who hasn't hired yet, but she was saying, I'm glad I don't have to hire. But then we kind of started talking a little bit about, because it's so daunting, because it is so overwhelming, because it is scary for a new business owner. What advice would you give them as far as not waiting too long to make that first hire and dive into that? Yeah,
lots of, over the years, hiring people, moving to a commercial facility. You're scared to death for those steps. And every time I've taken that risk, it's elevated my business. It's like, oh, the business goes, oh, now I can breathe, and it's grown right with the business. But you always need to be looking for good people. Always. Just have them in your back pocket. Talk to them. You never know. I've had people where I'm like, I need to hire this person. And I was not expecting to hire this person, but I have to. She's that good. She's that great. And you make it work. It always seems to work out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I've been lucky, but it works out most of the time. So keep your eyes open and talk about who you are and keep it out there, because people will come to you too and go, oh gosh, I'd love to work for you. And you just never know, the connection. And I get a lot of our team members from referrals, personal referrals. And if people know me, they're willing to refer other people they know to work for me. And then that just doubles and compounds, and, then they love it and they bring people they know and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I think the point I want to stress there from what I just heard from you is constantly recruiting.
Never stop.
And all these folks, a lot of these folks that I've been talking to, they're hiring for a specific role that they think is the right role. But instead of going out to these networking groups and instead of trying to get referrals or business, they should also be trying to recruit employees for their business. So always recruiting, have that pipeline filled.
Yeah.
That speaks to the gig economy as well, having people that who can come in a pinch, work part-time or work on a temporary basis.
So there was a temp agency that I heard, I used to live in Denver, called 10 to 2. Brilliant. How many candidates that are so capable could you get if you had a position from 10 to 2? A parent that could get their kids off to school, breathe themselves, go work for 4 hours happily, come home, be home before the kids got home. I mean, you'd have a plethora of candidates.
Yeah.
Why not try it?
Yeah, love that.
There's that creativity.
Yeah.
Ben,
Yes.
I think you're thirsty.
I know
Oh.
I am.
What is that?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Everybody, I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry, bro. I now have, we're doing everything. It's all new. The new Biz Over Beer podcast. I now have a thirst meter.
What?
At the thirst meter.
That's thinking.
Yeah.
That's good.
And Canope is my thirst
He's
meter.
your thirst meter, huh? So once your thirst gets to a certain level, he recognizes it and he comes in and steps in.
We have the wavelength.
Okay, perfect. Excellent.
awesome.
Okay, well, great. Well, Natalie, this is the Business Over Beer podcast.
I love it.
This is the beer portion of the program. We ask all of our guests to bring a beer to share. Will you please tell us about the beer you have brought to share?
Why, yes, Jonathan. Tonight I brought Blue Moon. It is made by Coors, but I love a crisp, refreshing Blue Moon with a slice of orange. I did not bring the orange.
Yeah.
Chucks? Yeah, no oranges on that.
No.
And
next time.
And thanks to my lovely husband over there for picking up my favorite beer.
Yeah.
But I've always loved this, and it looks like a couple other people have too. And even better, if you want to go a little lighter, they have Light Sky.
All over.
Yeah. It's in a can. It's a thin little can. It's a cute can. Cute is
It's
important,
like a White
right?
Claw or something?
And it's a Blue Moon,
Oh.
but it's a lighter version.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Do they
Yeah.
have a Dark Sky, a heavier version of Blue Moon?
No.
No, that
No,
doesn't. All right,
they
I'm
don't.
just
They
asking
have a-
questions. I'm just asking questions. That's my job. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, perfect. So who's got the? Oh, you've got it right there.
No,
Perfect.
No, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm a professional.
All
Yeah.
right, perfect.
It is a
Perfect.
twist off.
Is it really? Are you kidding me?
Who said that? Who said it? Come on.
I
who
did.
Come on.
I did. Sorry.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah, we got it.
Oh, I got some big head here.
I got a big head of hair too.
I don't.
So who knows the trick to get rid of the?
Drink it.
You
Wait.
wipe your forehead.
See, he's definitely in his mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
What is it now? It's
46.
not. It's a truly.
46. Yeah.
Prost.
Prost.
Woo! I did not pour well.
All right. So, Natalie, you talked about pivoting.
Yes.
Pivot.
Yeah.
That was the big 2020 word. We talked
It
about
was.
that all the time. And a lot of things that a lot of people experienced was like a lot of people were hurting. We know that.
Yeah.
But they made the best of that situation.
Absolutely.
And you have experience with that. Like, tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that experience.
So for us, we dropped about 65%
Whoa.
because one of our niche markets is corporate. So no one was going to the office.
Right.
Really, what we needed to do is we needed to just concentrate on other niche markets, and it was a really good lesson into really making sure that those baskets are full, all the niche markets, because once we started targeting towards manufacturing more and like medical offices and things like that, we were ramped back up all of 2021. And that's where, with nil corporate,
Get a little bit deeper into that,
Yeah.
though. Like, go into, like, how that process worked. Did you
Yeah.
sit down with everybody, or how did that work?
We had a lot of meetings as an ops team, a creative team, where we were like, okay, guys, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So we did several things. We launched coffee bean sales on our site, something that we've wanted to do, but, waited. It was low on the priority list. We did that right away. We created corporate gift packaging, so you could send something to your clients or your employees at home. So we did that. And then we also, we did a ton of community service right away. Community service is wonderful, but when your business stops completely and you don't know what's going to happen after 2 weeks, and you have a lot of mouths to feed, you're like, okay, so we're going to go do free carts and we're just going to go do that, and Zoya, who's my business development gal, she's very community oriented, and she's like, yep. And I'm like, I know you're right, but I'm scared to death, because I don't know where the next dollar is coming from. So we started doing community service at the hospitals. We're coming free, all those essential workers. I had nurses, doctors crying, like they were stressed out to the max. And it was amazing what happened. The community started seeing what we were doing. They started saying, we want to sponsor your cart. We want to help. All these businesses came in. We started doing so many medical facilities and hospitals around. It just compounded. So that was amazing. Another thing we did is we sold gift certificates at a discounted rate for 2 hours with no expiration, and then they got another coupon on top of that. And I think we sold like over $8,000 in gift certificates.
Whoa.
Which during COVID,
That's, yeah. Whoa.
I was like, because these people had budget dollars, right? That weren't being spent. So they spent it and they're still kind of using it type of thing. We had to create the plexiglass on our cart. How does that look?
Jeez.
Yeah, we'll put a notch right where we usually put the coffee on top of the coffee machine. Well, that doesn't work. That's air and, everything. So, okay, scratch that, go back to the drawing board, redesign, and then design the plexiglass to have graphics on it and look pleasing, which the silver lining there was, wow, we like this landscape, marketing, landscape. So now, since COVID hit, we're redoing our cart design, and because of COVID, we're re-looking at that. And how can we not have so much plexiglass, but still have that marketing?
Like a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
Old
Exactly.
school lemonade stand. That's why you do it. That's how you do it.
I am looking.
You heard that here.
Yeah, I am looking for a little awning that goes over maybe scalloped edges, the green, two different
Yes.
colors, green stripes. If anybody has any leads for me on that, let me know. Yeah,
Making lemonade out of lemons since
Exactly.
2020.
There you
exactly. Yep,
There you
it's
go.
all about that. And those are the companies that survive. Because really pivot was the word for 2020, but as a small business owner, you're constantly pivoting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You think, we'll get to this point and it will be, we have it all figured out. Anybody? And it's like, oh my God, okay, now I'm learning this. Oh, I didn't know about this. But that's kind of the fun, right? That keeps us going and gives us something to do. But yeah, constantly pivoting.
Yeah. And I think that's the lesson on the other side is just being open to ideas. I think we just get so dug in to ourselves and to our day-to-day, and it is scary to admit that, you know what, maybe there is another way. Because this is either easy or it's comfortable. And we've talked about this as the lesson on the other side, and I think that you continue to prove that out.
Yeah.
So you've got 5 rules for business basics that I want to get into next.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through your 5 rules for business basics?
Yeah, so these are...
And kind of where it all came
Yeah,
from.
so I did a presentation, and I realized as you go through your career and you look back, I go, why were they so... I moved to Denver. I was a temp right away. I come to pick up my paycheck, because that's what you did. And 19.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, we love you. You're so great. And I'm like, why are they making such a big deal out of me? Like, I just go to work and, do what I'm told, right? And as you go through life and you do hiring and evolve, you're like, I see why they were so thrilled. Because I was on time. I did what I was supposed to do. I had a smile on my face. And it's really the basics. It's some of the things you learn in kindergarten. And it separates you from so many others.
What are the 5
All right.
basics?
So number 1, and I put this together 6 years ago, and it's a big buzzword right now, is be kind. Just be kind. Number 2, do what you say you're going to do. It's so hard, it seems, but it's so easy. And things happen, right? It's not that something's never going to happen. You just need to communicate it proactively.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's just go into number 3. Communicate, right?
Communication is hard, apparently.
It can be really hard. Sometimes we don't tell someone clearly what we really need.
Yeah.
Or what we expect, or that, hey, I dropped the ball. But if you're vulnerable and you just say, I completely dropped the ball, people have grace for that.
Yep.
They're like, but this is what I can do. Great. But if people don't communicate, then that rope is really short, and you're just like, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big one. And then don't offer more than you can deliver. I think as small business owners starting out, we say yes to everything. And that's a normal process.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
but learn quickly what your parameters are and what you do well and what you don't do as well. And you can't do everything well. So kind of start to hone in on what you're good at and stay there, and know what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do, which goes into really self-care, which I'm super passionate about, and balance of life for sure, which goes in the last one. Take care of yourself. I had some people in Denver that do the same thing that we do and are similar, and I was referring business to him because a rep is going to Denver as well, and it said, their website said, we're currently not operating. And I was like, what? So I texted Chris and was like, what's going on? And he said, we got burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try and do too much and you don't take care of yourself, you will burn out. It won't be fun. Hopefully some of you don't get to that point and hear the advice, and take care of yourself along that journey. And pull people in that know things that you don't, or areas you're not good at.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know everything. In fact, you shouldn't know everything. But you definitely need to dial down the ego so that you can pull in the resources you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Yeah.
those are my 5 things.
Those are awesome, and I think that we often forget to just go back to the basics. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I would even say, you probably don't need the other 4 if you just do what you say you're going to do. Like that, to me, is the one that is the premium. And it seems to me that it's, I continue to encounter this, that, and it goes hand in hand, particularly with the communication, that, especially as small business owners, we're living so day to day. We're living on the next deal. We're living on the next partnership.
Yeah.
And when you get somebody who says they're going to do something and then they don't come through, maybe they don't realize the actual impact of them not doing what they say they're going to do. But but I think that's a really important. I think that's the most important one in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, and that could be a mental health problem, which goes back to taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's a reason why they're afraid. They're like, I have anxiety and I don't want to do this. And in the moment, I wanted to do this, but then it's like, so.
Yeah.
To me, taking care of yourself, it's got to be number one. Without you, there is no business. There is nothing. So take care of yourself.
Yeah, for
100%.
sure.
So what's next for Pacific Perks?
Well, I would love to say it's official today, but possibly next week. We are working on being a franchise. So we are days away from that.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a dream of ours forever. I pushed it away for many years because I didn't want to create burnout for myself. And so I had to get to a point where I realized that I can do this with people, with a team, not have burnout, and fulfill our dreams. So cross our fingers.
Whoa, that is badass.
Yeah. So
Seriously.
So talk about the impact of the business. So actually talk about the impact to the business, and then also talk about what that means for the community and where we'll see Pacific Perks and kind of what is that broad level sort of impact for you and your business?
Yeah, so we will be selling a South Portland territory right now. That will be the first one, and we'll be branching. It's a little bit convoluted, lots of stuff, but in order to sell in Oregon and Washington, we have to go through a few more hoops. Surprising,
weird.
isn't it? Surprising.
Yeah.
California and Washington. So we can't go there just yet, but I'd love to be in Boise, Idaho. I'd love to be in Spokane. I'd love to be in Reno. I'd love to be in Vegas, all kinds of things. So that means that we're giving the opportunity for someone like me to have all the systems and processes and the proprietary software we just created, the whole package training, for them to take that into a new territory and run Pacific Perks in that area. And we're all about creating experiences. So we have great coffee, supposedly. I don't drink coffee.
Are you
horrible
shitting
guest
me?
choice.
Are you serious?
Horrible guest choice.
You're serious?
Yes, but I'm very real. I've always been real, so I just got to tell you. But what I'm passionate about, I'm jealous of people who love coffee because I want to love it. What I'm passionate about is creating a fun experience that's simple for everyone involved and no work and seamless, and people walk away feeling better than they did before they came up to the car. So that's what I'm passionate about. And so we get to do that throughout, the US, hopefully. And the most important thing is that I have done this with a balanced life. So when my kids were in school, I started going home at 3:30 and coming home and putting my mom hat on. That was really, really hard. I had to tell myself for 9 months, it's okay, it's all right, you're fine, you're doing the right thing. Nothing crucial is going to happen at 3:30 to 5. I don't work on Fridays mostly, or I do some project work. That's how I live my best life. Like when I work, but I have to have almost as much downtime as I do work time.
But this is 15 years in. My guess is it wasn't always that way.
No, it wasn't. But my husband, my endeared ex-husband, has MS. So that's why we got into the business, because we had to change something. Corporate world wasn't working for him, and I figured out I was an entrepreneur starting other businesses. And so we needed a business where there was a nap program where he could take a nap in the afternoon and life would still go on. So I know a lot about pivoting. I pivoted, a lot to make things work. And yeah, there was times when it was a lot and I was, doing it all, or Tristan and I were doing it all. When Jim couldn't and he had to pull back. And so yeah, but I have to honor who I am, and it took a long time to get to that place where I actually felt good about it.
Yeah.
And said this is the way it has to be, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And that balance of life is truly all the way through our company. And so when I'm looking for new ownership of the franchise system, I'm looking for people that want a balanced life. And how do I do that in owning a business? And I can tell you exactly how to do it. And you just need to tell that little guy in your head to be quiet and just, keep going and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can successfully do it and keep going after 15 years and still love it.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So I'm going to ask one last question, because I want to bring this all the way back to the conversation we were having at the beginning. Because also I have a lot of conversations with people who want everything that you just said. I want the success, and I want the money, and I want the flexibility, and I want it all right now before I've done the time. What would you say to that? Because there is a rite of passage. There is a requirement that you have to still do the work.
Yeah, and I go back and forth. Is that an old school way of thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think part of it is. We're told, like, work hard and you'll be successful. Work smart and you will be successful. Do what you say you're going to do. You do that and work 5 to 10 hours less, and you'll be successful. I think it's an old paradigm. Yes, you need to do the work. And yes, I was at the office this morning making drip coffee at 5:30 in the morning. But I also have tons of flexibility, and I take that. So I think we need to challenge that.
Excellent.
I think it's working more smarter and more efficient, and not spinning our wheels and checking our email every 10 minutes. There's so many tools and so many ways to structure your day and to give your team autonomy so that you can have them do their job and trust them to do their job, and then just manage that it is being done. A great team will get you there a lot faster. And you treating them well will get you there a lot faster.
Nice.
Amen, sister. Seriously. Like, and we talked about this with Kathy Ballarge, we had her on our program, on our podcast, is like, the mentality is what we learned from our parents, our age, the 19s, is you wake up 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
and you work till you're 70, you retire, and that's the way it is,
Yeah.
especially in the freaking Midwest. That's a Midwest mentality.
Yeah.
No, like it's
Yeah.
legit. It is a thing, and that's why when you talk to people that don't get that, they look at you like deer in headlights. Like, what? What are you doing? Why are you quitting your job? Why are you doing this? Because I don't want to be that. I want to live my best life now. I want to wait till I'm 70.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. I want to enjoy life now while I'm going through it.
No, sister.
Yeah.
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 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah. And when you say, the Midwest vibe there, that's the type of people that would look at people now going, you know what? I want purpose. I want to live on less and spend more time with my kids. People think they're absolutely crazy.
Yes.
But are they? Or did they just find the magic, weapon there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Secret sauce.
Secret sauce.
I think it needs to be challenged. And that is where companies can take it and relook at recruiting. I used to have them jump through so many hoops when I was hiring somebody, and I was like, what are we doing? Get them in. Let's go.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
Well, congratulations on franchising. That sounds like an awesome next step. That is a very viable exit strategy for a lot of small business owners. So that's one of our core pillars as part of the Passages to Success program. So when we
Yes.
start talking about exit strategy, I would love to
Yes.
pick your brain on that process and maybe some of the things you learned and how to go through that process or how to evaluate whether that's a viable exit strategy when we get to that. So if you'd
Absolutely.
be welcome to come back and talk about that.
Thank you. And I'm about to endeavor a brand new business. The franchise system, like that's a whole different business. So I'm going to be learning so much, and love to talk about that too if it helps other people. So I
Awesome.
so appreciate you guys having
Absolutely.
me.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much. We're going to leave it there for tonight. But, Natalie,
Yes.
before we go,
Yeah.
it's time.
Is it time already?
It's time already.
Well, Natalie, I'm happy to say that this segment used to be called The Final Question. Where I'd ask you this final question, you give me a funny answer, we don't have fun. But
That
no,
sounds like fun.
it does.
What happened?
Well, it's still going to be fun.
All right.
But we're now going to call it The Final Action. Okay? So, one thing that our listeners, people here, people watching, can take with them, implement right now if they're trying to hire or even if they're trying to retain their employees now. One thing.
One thing. There's so many. I'm going to start with very tactical, trying to actually get people hired. One thing I would do is do a video on your job position and say, hey, we are looking for this. This is what we believe in. This is what we do. We're looking for this type of person. This is a good example of that. And try a video. We're tired of seeing little characters on a page, right? And our eyes rolling over. But when they get to see your personality, that kind of thing. And if you're not good at it, get somebody who is, just to do it and liven it up.
And if you do it with one of your employees, it probably goes over better anyway.
Yeah.
We do pergologists. When our pergologists say, oh my God, I just love my job. I'm like, stop. Let me hit record. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And then we post that.
That's awesome.
So do that. Yeah, talk to your employee.
Does Craigslist have a video upload feature now?
I was going to say, okay, tighten in this shot. Okay. We are hiring right now. We're looking for somebody who can come and read stuff for us, and maybe bring some Landjaeger, some lager, and
somebody who actually likes beer.
Oh, you will get so many candidates.
I think we would. I think we would.
But being fun like that, just use fun language. It'll work.
Natalie, thank you so much for joining us on Business Over Beer. If people want to find out more about you or Pacific Perks, where would you like people to go?
PacificPerksCoffee.com. My email is natalie@PacificPerksCoffee.com. I have got some business cards here. Love to chat, love to do more things like this, help people out, share ideas, collaborate. Love it.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Canope, take us out.
The Business Over Beer podcast is brought to you by Passages to Success, a local mastermind group specifically for business owners. If you'd like more information about what things are available to you as a small business owner to help you be a better business owner, please visit us at passagestosuccess.com. And Business Over Beer always reminds you to drink responsibly. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
That was amazing!
You're hired, Canope! You're hired! Hey everybody, it's Ben Sarant with Passages to Success and the Business Over Beer podcast. We are here at IVT in downtown Vancouver, and we had a podcast tonight, and our sponsor was Jason Huggins with Twin Star Credit Union. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah. So what do you do, Jason?
So as you said, my name is Jason Huggins. I'm with Twin Star Credit Union. I'm our business service manager here in Clark County. I have the pleasure of serving our business members in the area. I help with all sorts of things, whether that be treasury management needs, lending, new accounts, or just questions. I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I have the opportunity to do is help businesses grow. And I love meeting with businesses and helping them to meet that next stage of growth in their development. So anything I can ever do to help, I'm happy to do so.
And just one more thing with Jason, if you really just want to talk, there's
Please
no
do.
obligation to do anything.
No.
He will just sit down and listen to you and bounce ideas off him. He will do it. He'll just do it just to listen. He's that passionate.
Twin Star is a commitment to community, and at the end of the day, investing in our small businesses is a way we invest in our communities. And so for me, having that opportunity to sit down with business owners, understand what they do, find the pluses and minuses of what they do. We've done it
So many times.
ourselves,
Yeah.
and so having that opportunity to me is the best part of my job.
Good. Awesome. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, same
All
here.
right.
Man.
Call Jason.